Hello. Hello, everyone. You're welcome to the Black Female Entrepreneur Greenwich. This is Happy New Year for those of you that have not seen on Facebook. I think this is January is the last time we're going to say Happy New Year. We're actually rounding up the Happy New Year business. So for those of you that have not seen, Happy New Year to you all. As part of the Black History 365, the Black Female is still continuing with our program. On Friday last week, we had a jollof rice competition between Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon, and Senegal, Gambia. As usual, I won't say because I don't know what to say. Senegal won. Senegal won. I'm telling you, Senegal won again.
What was behind that?
I don't know. Maybe you guys need to learn how to cook better. You know?
Are you telling me?
Senegal won again 3 times in a row. They say jollof rice belongs to them. It's called Wolof. There is a place in Senegal, Gambia, where they have Wolof. And because of the ratatouille, the French vegetarian, everything they put inside, I think that was what they, you know, honestly, you need to eat the Senegal jollof. It is quite a jollof.
Really?
It is really quite a jollof. So I'm not going to take that from them. They did well. But I think when Ghana came out second and Nigeria came out third. So
for Ghana to beat Nigeria.
I don't know. I'm neutral in this one. I'm neutral.
So you went, how did you go about it? Did you go just by taste?
We go by taste, by presentation, by healthy meal. We also go by history. You need to give us a story about the food. We also need to look at the texture. The texture of the rice, that is key. And also looking at how healthy. And again, we'll not look at, is this something that you will buy because at the end of the day, we are selling the African food. Is this something that you will buy anywhere you go to? And that is how Senegal had like cassava in it. They have carrots, they had mixed veg, and their presentation, they actually use the green pepper and the red pepper to do their flag on the food. So,
wow,
you're gonna give it to them.
Okay. So I like to be part of that taste bud.
The next time, I think the next one that is coming up, you're gonna be one of the judges so that you can see what they're doing. But it was a hell of it, and they came really prepared with their dressing. They actually dressed to the occasion.
All right.
So you're gonna give that to them. So Senegal, over to you, winning the jollof rice competition.
Congratulations,
Congratulations. 3-10 in a row.
Nigeria, I can't believe that. And we are proud of our jollof rice.
No, I think now it has come to they say Nigeria are very good in the promotion of jollof rice. So because any party, we have actually promoted it to the extent that everyone can eat it. I think like Ghana, when I say Ghana are also good in making the jollof rice. It tastes for everyone, but Senegal.
But the rice Ghana uses makes it very dry.
Yes.
The little, yeah, I know. It doesn't, and the presentation isn't nice to look at. Anyway, we're always fighting about jollof rice, Nigerian and Ghana.
That's a discussion for another day.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go straight to our conversation. Like we know, we're celebrating the Black History 365, and we have our presenter today, which is Mr. Cletus, and also we have my co-host today, Adi Garati. And guys, I'm going to hand over to our guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll go shoot into the show. I'm going to go over to my co-host, Adi, over to you, then we'll go to Mr. Cletus.
Yes, good evening, everybody. It depends on which part of the world you're watching us from. So it could be good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night in some places. You're welcome to our program. Yes, and today is very unusual. I am Adi Goretti. I'm a co-host to my honorable, hardworking, I could just go on with all the, adjectives about Lucy Isaiah, the powerful woman, yes, of Greenwich. So I'm welcoming her to the show.
You're welcome, Adi. Over to you, Mr. Cletus.
Okay, thank you. Like she said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you, ladies, for having me today. It's always an honor to be here to talk about Africa. And before I go on, I want to comment on your background, Lady Lucy. It's beautiful. It's up for this program.
Are you telling me? Wallahi talahi in our song, Kai.
Yeah.
I love it.
So thank you.
Thanks to you, Mr. Cletus. This is one of your clips.
Yes.
Yeah, this is. I remember you say you did something in one of the villages.
It's house Fulani community in in Okula. Yes.
So yes. I save it for today.
Thank you. All right, so we're talking about Maasai people in Kenya and in Tanzania, and we need to look at the summary. We're going to talk about where we have the Maasai people, where their population, their GDP of the countries where they are, their main occupation, the tribes that cohabit with them, and of course the origin of the Maasai people, and of course their culture that has to do with beads, their dance, their music, and of course marriage. Let's start with where is Tanzania and Kenya for some of us who do not know. They are located in East Africa. And the population of Kenya is just 53 million people, and that of Tanzania is 63 million people. Then Kenya has a GDP of $110 billion, while Tanzania has 68 billion. Even though Tanzanians are more in number, the main occupation of the two countries is agriculture. It has always been for African countries anyway. Then the main tribe, some of the main tribes in the two countries, you have the Maasai people in Tanzania and also in Kenya. Then you have the Kikuyu in Kenya, and of course, the Samburu people also in Kenya. While you have the Hazard and Sukuma, all of them in Tanzania. The official language for Kenya is Swahili and English language, while that of Tanzania is Swahili, English, and Arabic. You have a lot of Muslims in Tanzania. Then the population of the Maasai in Kenya is just a little bit about 1 million people, that's 1.1 million people, while you have about 800,000 plus in Tanzania. So when you put the population of the Maasai in Kenya and Tanzania together, they're just a little over 2 million people. Then one wonders how come a tribe that is just less than 2 million is so predominantly known in Africa. It is because of their unique nature. So where are they from? The Maasai of Africa. They migrated long time ago from Egypt through the Nile down to West Kenya, where they also expanded to present-day Tanzania. That is the history of the Maasai people. Now, the British somehow affected almost everyone in Africa in one way or the other. When the Maasai had contact with the Europeans, with time in 1904, the British compressed the landmass of the Maasai people. They took over 60% of it to resettle some ranchers. So the Maasai people, the large expanse of land they used to enjoy in Tanzania and Kenya were compressed. And of course, that gave rise to some of these national parks that you hear today: Nairobi National Park, Maasai Mara Preservation Center, Sukumbi National Park, and etc., etc. Of course, the Serengeti Plain and the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. All this land that they will now have as reserve were the land that belonged to the Maasai people that settled there long time ago. There's one thing that is very unique about the Maasai people. They are the only African tribe known to man that did not accept slavery. Nobody was able to enslave any Maasai person because they hated the injustice of one turning another person to slave. So slave masters knew that. They didn't go to Maasai to get their slaves. So one wonders if every tribe in Africa had resisted slavery, perhaps there wouldn't have been slavery today. Because come to think of it, the indigenous Africans had power over the Europeans, even if they had firearms. They didn't understand the hinterland. They couldn't go in. It was ordinary native Africans that were going to arrest slaves. So going forward, I think we have to emulate the principle of the Maasai people for not enslaving their own brothers. When we go further to find out what they do, they are very good with beadworks. Just like you can identify the Edo people, Benin people with carvings, or you say the Egyptians are known for certain peculiarities. These people are known very well for their bead work. It's done by women, and it has a long history among Maasai people. They paint their bodies with ornaments and their materials. That so much so that when you see the Maasai man from afar, you will identify them. They're always very unique. They have this bead around their neck, their nose. They are everywhere. They are full of gaiety. People who are very proud of their culture. And they have these beads in black, in blue, made with local materials, clay, horns, bones, and seeds, and etc., etc. Then their homes, just like I commended Madam Lucy that, oh, I like the house that I'm seeing in your background. Even the Maasai building is not as permanent as this one because they are nomads. They are pastoral in nature. So they have buildings that are not permanent in nature also. They just build, they use, of course, most Africans who use their timber to put it into the earth, use other sticks to hold it round together. Usually there's a way that earth will end up in it, the mixed earth and all of that. That's what their building is all about. And it's usually between 10 to 15 feet and about 5 feet high. Now, one thing that is so peculiar with Maasai people, which is also peculiar with a lot of Africans, is that they are communal people. So in these 10 to 15 feet, that's where they sleep, that's where they keep their belongings, that's where they socialize, that serves as their parlor and their rooms and where they keep all their things. They are just very simple people. They are not as complex as you and I, and especially the Western world that have taught us how to amass wealth. So this is where the family, that little space is where the family cooks, that's where they eat, that's where they sleep, that's where they socialize, and every other thing that they have to do. But the larger compound is usually fenced around to secure their domestic animals. But even then, in the larger village, there's always a fence that the men have to build. This time it's not the women. The men will have to build it around. And so in the evening, because they live in the wild, as it were, they will bring all their domestic animals into this place to secure them from the wild animals. And of course, you know that the Maasai people are, like I said before, they live very close to a lot of conservation. That's why you have the largest land animals in Africa, in the Serengeti Plains and the whole of East Africa. So they secure their cows, their goats, their sheep at night, but during the day they can come out. Then in terms of music, just like most African setting, the Maasai women are known to sing lullabies and praise songs for especially their male children, their songs. And they also have special dance where women and girls come together at night. Then one of the cultures that they have preserved so strongly is the culture of cattle. You know, the typical Maasai family or man, his wealth is measured in the number of cow and children he has. Now, that's also typical of some African countries. When I was growing up, way back then, I'm talking about myself, not my father, not what my father told me. I knew that the wealth of a man was in the number of children that a man had and how large his farm was. And of course, we're not like the Maasai people where I come from, who were predominantly yam producers and cassava producers. So then we know that a man's wealth is measured by the number of rows of yam that he has. And it will be talk of town in quotes. Oh, do you know that Mr. Lagbaja had 150, 160? They say, oh, he exceeded 100 and all of that. So, and you needed enough children to help you take care of the farm, because the issue of paid job on a daily basis was not common. In my place, which is like the Maasai, what was common was the communal effort called Munububon, helping one another. So it's also very prominent in Maasai tribe, where your wealth is measured by the number of cows that you have and the number of children. Then their marriage rights is very unique, very, very unique. Maasai women will never be allowed to divorce. Now, I don't know the relationship between their culture and that of the Holy Bible. Never. Now, if the only time the Maasai family, a woman or man is allowed to divorce is when, especially the woman, is when serious abuse is involved. And the elders will confirm that the man is always abusing the woman. That's when they can encourage separation. Apart from that, it's a no-no. Even when their husbands die, the younger brothers of their husband usually inherit these women. So it must remain in the family. That is the culture. But however, many husbands were far older than the younger women. So you find out that their men were dying far earlier than their wives. So this Maasai marriage community, how does it happen? It doesn't happen until when there is initiation for the boys and for the girls. For some of us who grew up in the village, there's age grade initiation. So when you get to a certain age, you may not be married. So, but there's most African cultures to avoid, as it were, according to my people, I mean, the whole of Africa. Now I realize that Maasai, it also happens in Maasai land. For you not to be, to assert that you disgrace your family members, when a girl is of age, usually from 17 to 18 years old, some of them are fully formed now, they have breasts, they're already menstruating, they now have to conduct age grade. so that the woman is allowed to mingle with the male counterpart. If you get pregnant at that time, according to them, it's not my culture, then the insult or the disgrace will be less. But if you have not been initiated, it will be more. So after this initiation, if a young man finds a young lady he's attracted to, what normally happens that the young man will go inform his own parents. They will send him first to the family of the girl. If they accept him, he will come back and take his own parents to go and approach the parents of the would-be bride. And if they accept himself and his parents, then they will fix a day for dowry to be paid. What is this dowry? It's not in pounds and in dollars and whatever currency. It's in animals, goats, cattle, sheep, bedsheets, etc., etc. Usually, money, as we know it, currency is not involved. So that's the tradition of the Maasai. Then during the rites, a big sheep, during the married rite, a big sheep or a bull is brought from the man's house to be slaughtered in the bride's house. However, whatever that is provided, whatever that is slaughtered, be it a bull or a sheep, the bride will not eat it. It is a goat from her father's house that will be slaughtered for her to eat that day. These things are very, very instructive because they hold on to it. You can't find a Maasai bride eating the meat brought from her husband's house on the day of married rite. No, it's a taboo. So things are followed exactly the way they should be. So on the wedding day, the men will stand at the gate. That's a young man that came with the groom. And they will strike their stick. You know, one of the features that are predominant with the Maasai people is their stick. So they will form a line and they will hold the stick up, everyone, and create something like a gate. So the first person that will pass through that gate is the groom's best man. So he passes and the groom and his parents will follow and they will enter the compound of the bride. Then after that, after the best man and the groom and the family follow, when they enter inside, the wedding clothes are usually what they normally wear to the ceremony is usually the skin of cow and other animals. Even the shoe that they wear also is made from animal skin. So everything is organic, as it were, in their marriage rites. So the groom and the bride will wear something that has red color. Usually, if you see the film of any local marriage of Maasai people, it's full of colors, full of gaiety, very bright colors and beautiful. So after the girl has passed the gate also, because the girl has to pass the gate. No, before the girl will pass the gate, there is a tradition where milk will be presented by the girl to the husband. It will be in a nice container. That milk, she's the one that will take it on the way when she's going to her husband's house. So after the girl has passed the gate, and the men will bless her, the men from her kindred will bless her, and they will release her to go with her husband. On their way home, after a while, depending on how far the house of the groom is, the girl will have to sit down somewhere. The husband will wait for her, and of course, the husband best man will wait for her. She will sip the milk 3 times. I think the essence is for her to have energy for the journey of going to her husband's house, and they will continue the journey. Peradventure, there are pebbles and there's river on the way. Now it is the duty of the best man to carry the bride. It's not his wife, but is the best man to the groom. He will carry the bride across the pebbles, the stones, and anything that will is capable of injuring her across the river. It is when they get to safe ground that they will put the lady down again and she will start walking. I think that the essence of that is to show the lady, that's the bride, that we care for you. You are our queen. You must not be allowed to suffer, as it were, or we must not allow you to go through what we can, the burden we can take off from you, especially on the first day that you are coming home. That same day, a room is prepared for the bride and the bridegroom where they will spend the night, but with the best man. Very strange culture, because you would have expected that, oh, this is our day, two of us. But no, the best man will always be there. Don't ask me why. I find it strange, but that is their culture. Then the next day, everyone in that neighborhood, especially the family members, will present them with a cow, with a sheep, and goats. Then they want every person in the neighborhood will be bringing whatever present that they have for them. Like I said earlier, she's not allowed to divorce after this rite. Never. It's a no-no. However, because if she peradventure, she said, no more, I'm not interested, I'm going, you have to return everything that was paid as dowry to you. The sheep, the cow, whatever, you have to return them. So that's why they don't allow divorce. Now, when someone dies, when a man dies, and the widow is alive, she is made to be taken care of by the first son of her first son. Now, it's seen as respect for the first son to take responsibility of his mother and other siblings. It's a sign of respect. Then when the lady is old enough, that's a widow, they consider her as a man. It's also in my culture. So she becomes the head of the community. She attends events by men and stuff like that. So if you ask me, what is the future of the Maasai people? I think the future is bright. With modernity, with interaction with modern world, with education, the future is bright. But beyond that, there's massive opportunity for Maasai people in tourism. I think one of the major problems we have in Africa is that our leaders are not actually thinking right. Imagine a tribe of less than just a little above 2 million people. The best tourist centers in Africa is around them. I mean, their neighbors, it's their land. So year in, year out, every month, thousands and millions of Europeans and Africans, even other Africans alike, they troop to all these national parks. But guess what? It doesn't seem to get to them. So they have a bright future, a massive future, if their leaders and the leaders in the countries where they are can actually make tourism benefit these people. So far, that's how much I have for us today. And I'm open to questions and answers. The ones that I can't understand, I can't answer, we'll all answer it together. Thank you so much, Lucy, for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cletus, for actually raising awareness of the Maasai people of they say they have them in Tanzania
and in Kenya.
And in Kenya, so it's more like
they're actually more in Kenya than there are in Tanzania. 1.1 million people in Kenya, then about 800,000 plus in Tanzania.
So they are more like, so are we going, because I know if you go back to different parts of, like over here in Europe, you have the travelers. So are we saying we can say the Maasai people, are they like the travelers?
Yes, what happens is, like I said, they came from Egypt, and so they settled in the land where you have both Kenya and Tanzania. However, you know, the British, when they came, they divided us. So that's why you have some in Kenya and some in Tanzania. Otherwise, they occupied that whole landmass, which they've taken over from them to develop national parks, and et cetera, et cetera.
So majority of the Maasai people, they are more traditional. They keep to because if even up to date, if you look at them, there's nothing westernized about their culture.
Oh, yes.
No.
Oh, yes.
So they still keep to their indigenous culture, their language, their heritage, their food, their lifestyle, more close to nature. Are we going to say there are people that they don't compromise when it comes to their culture and tradition?
They don't. And let come to think of it. Why should you? Now, you know, we Westerners, let me say you Westerners, because we have copied you, you define what success is for us, but it's absolutely wrong. Success is becoming. Success is not a destination. Success is not the number of private jets that I have. Success is not the beautiful cars and beautiful houses that you have in Europe. So to them, success is camaraderie. Success is communal living. You know, I just told you that they never allowed any one of them to be sold into slavery. With that, I can tell you that they are better than you and I, and better than Europeans. Because if Europeans brought Christianity to us, and God doesn't like any man to enslave another person, but we disobeyed God and started enslaving people. But Maasai people, you call them primitive people, but I tell you, if you watch, we are the ones that are primitive. Because you have defined who a primitive person is. You think it's the people that can read and write in English that are not primitive. It's just English language. So they are very unique with the way God created them, remaining close to God, keeping the dignity of man, which is more interesting, which is weightier to God than the earthly things that we crave for, which God said does not consist the strength or the power of a man. So yes, they are advanced people. They are developing their own way, not your way, not the Western way by building private jet and building rails and all of that.
So going back to like now we're talking about Black history. Part of this presentation is to actually celebrate the Black culture, the Black history. And if you look at the Maasai people, you won't say they're either Muslim or Christian. They are just traditionalists. Traditionally, they maintain their tradition, their culture, what they believe in as their God, as their makers. Coming back to the African history, and now that we're talking about Black History Month, don't you think it is high time? Like now you say the Maasai people, they are one of the one of the best people because they believe in communal. They never allow any of their members to be sold during slavery. And if you look at their culture, look at their religion, what they actually believe in. So don't you think it is high time that we, different parts of the African continent, we should go back to our tradition and the gods that we used to worship and adore those days. I know many times we'll come to this platform talking about how people don't even steal during those times when there was no Christianity, when there was no Islam, when there was no other religion. We keep to that, our tradition. Don't you think it is high time we go back to those culture, to those norms, to those beliefs that actually protect and kept us. Because I know you talked about our leaders, and like now our leaders, they take hold with the Bible. I don't think if there's any leader that go to the shrine to take hold will actually steal money from the treasury.
Okay, let me take it from this way. It's not, there's nothing that is absolute. Okay. I can't sit down here and tell you, yes, we have to all go back to where we were before and all of that. No, the world is also dynamic. Now, what we should be saying is that we're humans, we should be able to identify those values that are very good, that are eternal, and we'll keep them. Then we fuse it with modernity so that, because we're in a global village, so that we can be relevant. Now, that brings me to religion. I didn't say that all Maasai people, none has embraced either Christianity or Islam. No, there are Maasai people that are Muslims today, there are Christians today. Why they still try to keep their tradition intact, just like the Beninese in Nigeria. Why they keep their tradition intact, that's not to say that they will not have other beliefs and all of that. So we must meet ourselves at some point. Flexibility has to be there. However, a people's identity is very critical to their growth. I want to repeat that. Any tribe's identity is very critical to their growth. Language is synonymous with development. Therefore, if you erode a people's tradition and culture completely and their language completely, they will be like dry leaves. Any small wind takes them anywhere. There's no foundation. So that's why we Africans, in as much as we must embrace modernity, we must be true to our identity. And the Japanese have done it so well. There's nothing that will make a Japanese concede completely to Western culture, abandoning his own. The Chinese have done it so well. There is nothing that will make Chinese abandon their tradition and going to the Western world. It's only Africans that just said, oh, here is the British. The Queen style is our style. And we're all gone. God save the Queen. Everybody will say foolishly, so God save the Queen. Why are we saying God save the Queen? Why? Who is the Queen to us? What is the Queen culture? Why don't we look at the things that Queen is doing well and his people and her people, and we take that and live out? Like I always tell you, the African culture, go and check your British history. We had stronger values, just like the Maasai did not allow their brothers to be sold. We had values of not stealing. Never. If you stole them, you'll be excommunicated. We had values of not sleeping with somebody's wife. You dare not, like you said, whatever goes, the thunder or Ogun or whatever will strike you when you sleep with another man's wife. We had the values of being a brother's keeper. That's what the whole world is going today. So when I look at our values, they are actually born out of love. Those we should not trade, but we are trading them. So hello.
No, go on, finish. I would like to come in here at that point.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm looking at our time and I haven't spoken.
Yeah. Go on.
You know, we're talking about values and the Messiahs not, keeping their cultures and still, of course, till date. But there are some of them, but not as much as considering their population. You know, would you not say that our own values were adulterated by the education that we imbibed from the Western world? Because I didn't hear in this history of the Messiahs that they went to school, they imbibed the Western culture, the Western education, as well as the fact that they didn't allow their people to be sold into slavery, because I'm sure if ever slaves were released, they probably will go back home. But ours never came back home. They remained there and became third-class citizens, and therefore sold away their culture. So my take on this is, do you not think it is education that has ruined most of the African countries?
Absolutely. What is education? It's indoctrination. Now, someone lives his land about 6,000 kilometers away from Europe, and he comes to Africa, stays into our land, and they discover that the family, the people are close-knit. And they just said, we can't break into these people until we tell them that our system is better. So they offer certain things that look superior. One of them was mirror. They just offered our people in West Africa, both Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, the British people brought mirror. And when our people saw themselves inside an object, they felt that the European was ahead of them. And they started educating us. Do you know that the first people who were educated in Africa were wrongly educated? And if you are wrongly educated, you become expert in stupidity or expert in foolishness. So that's why we're not able to manage our economy. They started teaching us history that doesn't have any relevance with our history. We're not learning our history. And even today, the Chinese have been able to design functional education, but we don't have functional education as I speak to you in Africa. That's why we've shipped all our children to Europe and America to perhaps get functional education. So you are very correct. The education did not come only from the four walls of a primary, secondary, and university. No. They also lied to us about a lot of things. And because we accepted them as superior, I'm talking about the West, so everything they told us, we believed. I was a victim. I went to school.
But I don't think you were the victim. It's your forefathers that are the victim. Because I believe that corruption in Nigeria or Africa itself emanated from the fact that those leaders, those chiefs and all that, actually did not protect the people that they were expected to protect. And then whether they gave them golden gin, and we can make a baccarat and kai from plantain,
raffia palm and all of that. Yeah.
Absolutely, but they easily gave in, and you can see that trait has actually carried on to the fact that even the leaders today, modern leaders who have even come and be educated, are even more corrupt, and not just corrupt in the way that they do things. They flaunt that the corruptness. Because in this part of the country, the world, of course there's corruption, but they look out for, let's make the population feel they are part of us, right? Yes. So they built roads, they supplied the water and all that. Let me just say something very quickly. I am not quite in support of Bill Gates. I am not in a position to do that, because what I think will work in Africa, it's not about being a philanthropic, going to get malaria vaccines. What you're supposed to do is to put that money into those villages where when rain falls, give onus to mosquitoes to breathe. Because if we have very good roads and gutters, as we call them, water drainage, the Europeans will call it, mosquito will not have the opportunity to grow. And the Anopheles mosquito will go. So why are the world? No, I want to go to the United Nations and just wreck the place with my mentality. And say, all these philanthropists in Africa, you are still keeping us where we are, because those medicines are not even effective. You know, in those days, we drink quinine and you are fine. They don't produce quinine anymore. They are, so, when we look at Africa, the only way we can rebuild that country, that world, that part of the world, it's going back to the Mosaic way of life and say, we are going to refuse what is, start from anyone that wants to rule Nigeria, give good roads, give water, give light. And you will see that country change. People will start coming back, going back to their country. Because now, all those diseases, they agree with me. If we have good gutters, good distance, the only thing you need to point to those gutters is pesticide or something like that. And now the mosquito will die. They won't see anywhere to fly to. And that is why we don't have them here. Otherwise, we could have had them. Who told you that mosquito cannot travel in suitcases and get to London? Or cannot travel in the plane and get to London? Some people can bring it. But this is where I think the problem is. So for your history of the Mosaic people, I am really proud of them, because if they had accepted to sell their people, if they were not greedy to sell their people, Ghanaians, the other day, one of these, I think she's a Somalian, showed us, where they were keeping them in Ghana in one of the programs I watched on CNN. And my heart just bled. What money are you going to offer me that I want to sell Lucy to you? No way. I can't do it. So I don't know why our chiefs and our community leaders did that.
We still have the same issue here. The same issue still have, even while we're here in the Western world, even though some of us has even come in here to see that what our forefather did in the slavery, their part they play, even when it was forcefully done, but at the end of the day, they still play some parts. Yes. They still play some part. We'll not deny that fact. But we still see our people that are here, we still sell each other. We don't work collectively together. And when we see our other fellow Black community, it doesn't matter where they come from, whether they are the East Africa, North Africa, West Africa, wherever they come from, the Caribbean, we do not support each other to achieve what we're supposed to achieve. We don't support each other.
We stand divided. That's what the European wants.
In a nutshell, we are still enslaving ourselves. We are still enslaving ourselves to the Western system or to the Western community to actually make. I want to tell you, life is not easy yet. It's never easy. We still face racism. We still face xenophobic. We still face that element of enslaving, whereby we're not being treated equally. So, and in a nutshell, if you go around the whole element, you still see some other Black people sitting on that table where you've been racially discriminated.
That's correct.
You still see Black upon Black racism. Within the same community. So I think the Maasai community have shown the spirit of love. I don't like what you say. I don't know if it's the education, if it's the religion that is changing our mindset. Because if we go back to the proper African tradition, some of this thing will not really happen. Will not happen. Right. Because a lot of people use under those education platform, they are too sophisticated. They feel they are so educated, and they have prejudice other people that cannot have double education like them. And they also use the religious platform, and they also maltreat their fellow Black people.
Absolutely.
People do that a lot.
Okay, let me add something there. I want to say something concerning how we treat our brothers, why there's no love, why there's hatred. Now, it's a fundamental problem arising from identity crisis. When you know who you are not threatened by your brother who is making money or who is not making money. When you understand who you are not threatened by your brother who is the president. You know who you are. So people with low self-esteem and poor self-concept are ever in competition God did not create us to be in competition. God created us to be our individual self because we're all unique.
Yeah.
So because we don't know who we are, we keep fighting our brothers. Mind you, these our brothers can't fight Europeans. You know why? Because from that early time, it's still in us, in our subconscious mind, we see the white man as the superior race. So we can't fight these people. These are our masters. So that master mentality is in us, but it's our brothers and sisters that we need to fight. And therefore, there's no unity in Africa, and that's why we lack direction. The day one man will rise up that does not have positive concept, that wants to listen to one another, that believes in everybody coming together and let us moving forward, the whole of Africa will follow. Look at what is happening in Nigeria. I don't know who they are going to vote for in February 2023. But Obi has been able to do something. He just came and said, listen, let's stop stealing, let's stop lying, let's be nice to one another, let's build everywhere. And people started queuing behind him. You would never have thought that there are minds who believe in moving forward as much as the millions that we have today. They were all held down by people who have low self-esteem. That, have you heard that billions of old naira is in homes?
Yeah.
Exactly.
In sewages.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's people that have poor self-concept. So they think money will make you a superior being.
And do you know what I said to that when one was dug up? I said, so these people are so heartless that they kept all this money and people are begging for food.
They will allow the thing to waste.
Where is your humanity?
Poor self-concept.
Let me bring you to something very interesting and you will laugh. So when these people sleep with when they sleep with the best man, what happens when the doors are locked?
That question, I don't know, my sister.
Okay. The other question is, what is their life expectancy?
The Maasai people. Now, from all my research, I'm told that the elderly people marry young people, so they die before their wives, long before their wives. But I think when you are close to nature, you tend to live longer, although British people make us believe that, oh, we're not living long before, but I don't think so, because I grew up to see some elders that were 100 and something plus, because they were working with walking stick, they were healthy.
125 I saw in Yoruba land. She was trying to tear the plantain back, the rope. She was trying to, and I just keyed into her and I told God that day, what you did for Ezekiah, you are going to do for me. I am going to use the 125. I was so, I'm telling
Amen.
you.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
You know why they live that long, some part of Yoruba, there's this thing they call a wedu that they eat, a wedu.
I'm beginning to drink the wedu. I see my
exactly, now. Please, keep it up. Because a wedu has huge number of components that will make your heart, your kidney, your brain, your arteries, everything function the way they should function.
Absolutely.
Drink it raw.
So the amala wedu is the medicine.
I'm telling you, you blend it, you blend the wedu, fresh wedu, you put cayenne pepper in it, and take the better salt, the yellow, the pink one, or the sea salt, just put it in your bottles and put in your fridge or freezer, bring it out, take 1 cup in the morning, take 1 cup at night. I drink that.
This woman is doing the right thing, I do that in my house.
Yes.
I take it every morning and every evening.
Yes, you don't have to cook it.
Yes. And my energy is like that of a 30-year-old, but I'm not joking. I
travel from here to Peckham to go and buy a box of ewedu.
Yes.
That is interesting. Thank you all for being part of this amazing. I'm always loving having this conversation, because these are some of the history, some of our culture that we don't have the opportunity. Like they said, there was no story, there was no book. And we're always hearing about the other side of what the Western man has written or the Western woman has written about ours. But we have not had time to discuss about this culture, these people. And one of my aim at the when we celebrate the African festival is to pick. I know we have, is it 54 countries we have in Africa? 54. Yeah, 54. Yes. So during the African festival, we're going to be picking one country after the other to talk about in this platform, so that people got to know, because some people don't even know the amount of African country and the culture in that continent, and the impact, their contribution, and who they are, and that is what actually make the African continent. We're going to be looking into some of these countries. We're going to be looking into their culture. We're going to be looking, like, because if you think about the slavery only happened in the western part of Africa.
West Africa, yeah. Where
Africa.
Water is.
Why was this so? Why it didn't?
Because the ship. Yeah, because the ship could come from England.
Yeah, but they could have actually spread all the way to the south, to the north. But
that was very far now. West Africa is faster to get to. Was faster to get to.
There will face resistance in the hinterland.
Yeah, but if you but when I was looking at, even though it happened in the West, we now find out that some of the other parts of the African country, we have more infiltration of the Western world in the modern day. So I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. So they didn't come during the slavery. They didn't get to the west, to the south, to the east, to the north. But now if you look at some of those countries, you are having more of the Western influence. So it's more modernized slavery that is happening there. So you can see that the Western,
we're the ones actually giving access to them now. They are not coming to arrest us. We're the ones running them. Yes.
Wow, it's been an interesting one. Seriously, Mr. Cletus Chukuma, I really, I'm very appreciative of your presentation. Quite a wide range of knowledge, that has, of course, incited us tonight to, look at ourselves. That mirror, I think we need it again to check to know who we are. This time it will be looked from a different perspective.
Yes.
Because they are still running here, aren't they? Exactly. So that's my take for you.
So my last word is believe in ourselves, believe that we can do it, believe that we can do it. 3 times. We can.
Obama.
That's my message.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes,
so guys, thank you all for listening. Our next show will be on I think that's on Friday, is it? Is it Friday?
Yeah, in February, yeah.
Yeah, so I think our next show will be on Friday, and we will be at the Instagram platform. So it will be February 1st. Is that Friday or Wednesday?
February 1st is
Wednesday. So
wow.
So Wednesday, we will be at the Instagram platform. We'll be live there again with Mr. Cletus, and we'll be talking about the forgotten African soldiers. That is a very dear one to my heart. So guys, we'll be looking into that one. I think one more emphasis on campaigning to see that the African actually recognize those that are fought during the war. But we have not said anything about them saying it. So it's about looking at the fact that even Africa themselves as a continent, they need to recognize those soldiers that fought during the World War. So guys, thank you all for watching. It has been an amazing time.
Thank you for having me as your co-host.
Yeah, today I'm Mr. Cletus as usual. your presentation is always notched on. So, and I believe all those watching us, I believe you learn one or two things to you. And that's why we're always going live. So you can actually go back and listen to this talk. You can listen to it with your children, with your family. It's more like we putting those stories from our voice, the voice of the Black community, into your living room or into your little media box. So good night, all.
Thank
and
you.
I will see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.